I'm Wayde Kirvida from CustomFIRE, and behind me is a new pumper we just completed for the Maple Bluff Fire Department in Maple Bluff, Wisconsin. Now, Maple Bluff is where Chris Farley grew up. I just had to say that because he's like one of the greats. This truck is just beautiful. I love the colors, the features they chose, the layout of everything. So we're excited to get into it. But before we get into it, I'll just mention a few things about the truck overall. It's 33 feet 4 inches long. It's 10 foot 3 inches tall. It features a 750 gallon poly tank and a Waterous CSU 1500 GPM fire pump. It's built on a Spartan MetroStar chassis with a 10-inch raised roof, and it's the extended medium 4-door, which means that it's 60 inches from the axle to the back of the cab. So Spartan has several cab lengths and cab heights. We also have a couple cab widths. The MetroStar is 94 inches wide side to side. A Gladiator, on the other hand, is 100 inches wide side to side. They offer a flat roof, a 5-inch raised roof, a 10-inch raised roof, a 20-inch raised roof, and a 24-inch raised roof. And the cab lengths that you can get from Spartan are going to be the short medium 4-door, which is it's from the axle to the back of cab is like 46 or 50 inches. They make the limited cab, which is just a 2-door. It's 33 inches long. And then there's a medium 4-door, which is quite popular. That's 54 inches. The extended medium is 60. The long 4-door is 68. And then the extra long is 74. Now they are going to be increasing the longer cabs by a few inches now with the new X10 new emissions engines coming out. This truck features the Durablack Alcoa wheels. We have tread bright running boards and matching rub rails and tailboard. And then you'll notice, of course, that we did bed liner treatment on the pump module, which looks super classy, I think. Really offsets the hardware and the gauges. We have 3 speed lays stacked ahead of the fire pump. And then on the driver's side, we have a couple 2.5-inch discharges and a TFT external intake relief valve. The apparatus body is stainless steel. We have, painted ROM doors. And then you'll see real deep compartments because they have a low hose bed, a 750 tank, and it's L-shaped to keep it, compact and keep a low hose bed. Standing at the pump panel, I just want to point out some of the features on it. Obviously, it's very well designed, very well laid out. When we engineer and design the truck prior to construction, we do a full engineered layout of the pump panel. We label every control, we provide dimensions for everything, and then we send that to the customer so that they can really envision how it's going to actually be built, and then they can report back to us with any desired changes, and then we do that before we build the truck. Here we have an external intake relief valve, just a hand wheel operated. These are nice because they're simple operation. Everything is external. If you do have a valve failure, you're not going to take the truck out of service to replace it. Some of the downsides, I guess, would be that it does blow water off here when it's overcharged, and in some climates they can be prone to freezing. On the pump panel, we have innovative control, push-pull, twist-to-lock handles. We have the pump box pressure governor, a FoamPro control head, and then the LED tank level gauges. They have 2 2.5-inch discharges as well, and then the Trident Auto Air Primer. We have a switch bank for scene lights, essentially, and then we have a push-pull tank to pump and tank fill. Now down here you see this red cap. This is like a small cam lock fitting. This is our air-operated foam refill pump. The nice thing about this is you don't have to run your foam system to operate the pump. You also don't have to drain it or flush it out. And frankly, the parts aren't super expensive later on if you ever do need to service or repair it. And then finally, you might see that red panel down ahead of the intake. That is a decon line, so we have a blend valve with hot and cold water, and then a discharge outlet to run to a hose. Now, due to the climate that this truck's operating in, we do have a belly pan underneath the fire pump, and we have a pump heater within the pump module itself. Above the pump module, that upper area is recessed with a large well. They have a telescoping deck gun up there, and just additional storage for for, you know, brooms and shovels or whatever. With the door open above the controls, I just want to point out some of the fit and finish and the design that goes into these trucks. Everything is very well organized. All the hoses and wires are tied up very clean. Within the pump module itself, the plumbing is just in a nice orderly fashion. We have stainless steel plumbing, and then you can see the row of discharge valves with the linkages all running to the corresponding handles. The foam tank drain and shutoff valve are easily accessible. We do have a heater up above inside this pump compartment. Basically just a really nice easy access, and when you open the door you're greeted with some very well built, designed, and laid out equipment. With the doors open, you can see that we have full depth, full height compartments. Back here, obviously a couple high capacity rollout trays with divider panels on each one. These have brackets for rescue tools. In the wheel well itself, we have a double spot for air bottles, and then a spot for 3 additional air bottles. We kept the fuel fill separate in this situation. And then mounting panels up above in the compartments, air bottle bracket. We do have duplex outlets in every compartment that are powered by the inverter and transfer switch, as well as shore power. In the front engineer's compartment, we have a couple pull-out tray toolboard combinations. Of course, a little giant position there, and then a handy tool drawer chest. I mentioned that this truck has a stainless steel apparatus body on it, and the stainless steel is a brushed finish 304 grade stainless steel. It's constructed of a combination of 14 and 12 gauge thickness stainless. I think you'll find that to be the thickest, you know, heaviest duty apparatus body material out there, and it's bolted construction, which means that it's of superior durability, also repairable in the event of a mishap, or if you're, you know, struck by a vehicle or another truck on scene. The body is designed in kind of a modular fashion. We have the rear body corner, which attaches to the apparatus compartment segments. We have a dividing bulkhead, separate door jambs, wheel well, and then a single piece compartment header. We do encounter customers frequently that have, you know, the need for body repair, so it is nice to be able to kind of remove the damaged piece and put a new piece on. Some cool features here that I'll just point out. You notice how this air bottle compartment is externally mounted. That's nice because if you ever want to change this to carry an air pack instead, or a couple fire extinguishers, it's easy to remove this compartment and swap it in with a different one. Nice touches that CustomFIRE does. Everything is laser cut. We have a stainless steel laser cut track actuator for the door. Everything works smoothly. You can see we have contoured insulating pads for these door panels to keep them from, you know, keep them stable and just give that more of a damped feel when you're operating. All right, at the back of the truck, I'll just point out the layout. Obviously, we have a low hose bed. People ask me, you know, how high is it? And it's about that high. How low is it? It's about that low. We have a 2.5 inch discharge right here and a couple dividers in the hose bed. It's a roll-up door and slide-in storage for roof ladder, 2-section ladder, a couple pike poles, and an attic ladder. In this back compartment, we just have a roll-out tray. We do have adjustable tracks if they care to add a shelf at some point, and then our swing-out drop-down ladder. Now, by now you've noticed that the handrails are coated black, so they're, you know, powder-coated black handrails. These ones happen to be backlit with a green light, but it just sets a nice contrast and just follows that overall look of the truck. You know, with the hose bed cover lifted and the rear header swung out of the way, you can see that the hose bed is, you know, extremely spacious, very low, of course. This header, you know, drops down into place for the traffic bar, but if they care to, you know, have it out of the way, it obviously swings out to the side. The hose bed cover is Velcroed on both sides and at the front. Now, at the front of the hose bed, we also provided some flip down steps in case they wish to reach ahead of it from within the hose bed. On the opposite side of the truck, you can see that the upper level is not as deep as the lower level. That's because the ladders are sliding into that area from behind. And then within the compartments themselves, we have the perforated mounting surface up above, adjustable shelf, a swing out tool board, a couple more adjustable shelves, and then again we do have duplex power outlets in each compartment. This back compartment is set up for 2 fire extinguishers, and then we can fit 3 air bottles in the forward portion. Okay, and on the officer side of the pump panel we have a 2.5 inch discharge, a large diameter discharge, and another TFT intake valve. Ahead of the pump are a couple speed lays. Just pull those latches to drop the cover. We have a 2.5 inch, which will carry 200 feet, and then space for 2 1 3/4 speed lays, each at 200 feet. On this side, and just another more or less an inspection door on the pump module. You can see that the ladder obviously slides into this portion. One thing I'll point out about our midship, side mount pump module is that this panel from here to here and full width is removable. That just gives great access to the valves and just the plumbing inside the pump for service and maintenance over the years. Now we're in the back of the cab, and here you'll see that we have a nice little EMS compartment which is more or less flush with the engine tunnel. They chose the overhead heat and air conditioning, which really frees up the engine tunnel. And on the engine tunnel we have a nice contour cut like mounting plate which is raised off the top of the engine tunnel, and we actually have an access point on the engine tunnel for fluids. Now back here we have 2 forward facing center seats. These are the fold and hold seats, and made by Bostrom. And then within the seats we have the IMMI Smart Dock brackets. So we have 2 rear facing fixed and then 2 forward facing center fold and holds. The interior of this cab is just really well laid out. It's very clean design and just not a lot of clutter. We did a really nice job of integrating the siren control, the traffic bar, the seatbelt indicator, the HVAC controls, and then the Vista screen in the center dash cluster. They have their park brake, the pump shift, and the truck transmission on its own area. And so just great sight lines out of this cab, and plenty spacious for as short as this cab is. All right, we're just going to wrap it up at the front of the truck here. You can see that we have a roto ray above the grill, a spotting mirror over the officer side windshield. We have a Pioneer single pane brow light over the center of the windshield. And then down below we have somewhat of an abbreviated bumper, really held short so that they can still accommodate 100 feet of 1 3/4. We have the Q siren and the bumper top discharge swivel. If you look at the cab with relation to the siren and think it's going to hit when you tilt the cab, you're absolutely right, which is why we provide this tip over base to allow the cab to tilt into that area. And when you tip it forward, what you'll notice is that we put the cab tilt down there, so you really are forced to do this in order to tilt the cab. And then just one other thing that just caught my eye that I'll point out is we mounted some low profile LED scene lights under the bumper on the corners. That's going to do a really nice job of illuminating the pathway for turning or reading fire numbers, or just basically additional visibility at night. All of us at CustomFIRE thank Maple Bluff, Wisconsin for the purchase of this beautiful new pumper. All of us at CustomFIRE also appreciate the time you take to watch these videos, learn about our products. We'd love to hear from you if you're in the market for a new pumper, rescue, or tanker apparatus. I'm Wayde Kirvida from CustomFIRE. Thanks for watching. Let the bloopers begin. All right. Hey, I'm Wayde Kirvida, and we feel it's a beautiful truck, and they should. I don't know why I'm saying so much. So dumb. I'm going to point out some, kind of behind the door exposure of the truck. All right, on the officer side of the truck, again, we have the full depth. No, we don't have full depth. They're half depth. See, that's perfect. All right, we're in the back. Compartmentalize. Okay. We're in the back of the cab. All right. If you looked at the siren and thought the cab will hit it when it tips, you're absolutely right. So we and And then just one other point I'll point, all right, so is that good?